YouTube recording. Come on. Yeah, all right. Now it's official. Let me check on the web page. I don't see anything yet. Huh. Let me go to home. Yep. All right, we're live, Jake. Good morning.
Good morning and hello to everybody out there. Welcome to another episode of Making Turbo Pit Fighter, where we are making a sci-fi post-apocalyptic comic called Turbo Pit Fighter. And I'm Jake. This is Kurt with me, as always. And as you can see on my screen, I'm working on a computer, and I'm trying to lay in the lettering for this artwork that we got from the famous, legendary, former Marvel and DC artist Ken Landgraf, who we hired to lay out the first 6 pages of a story called "The Casualty." Enter the Casualties. Um, and we're making some editorial decisions here. We are trying to copy fit, and we're trying to make everything make sense. So we're going to be going over all those pages that Kurt is swiping through right there. Kurt, on the other hand, is inking Turbo Pit Fighter #1. He's in the final pages, going over the pencils with inks, and he's just doing his process. But he is on page 28. Um, so it seems like Kurt isn't the bottleneck here. I'm supposed to be doing stuff that contributes to the progress towards getting our next Turbo anthology out, which is going to be called the End of the World anthology inside of Doom Magazine's #1. And I have to do this lettering job here, and then we also have to do the lettering job once we get the pencils and inks from our buddy Alex Turbin. So those are on our to-do list. Then I also have to do a whole bunch of zine pages apparently, because I don't know if we can count on Smitty Ordonio getting us the 6 pager that he agreed to do, but in time. But there's still time, so maybe he
Yeah.
will. Yeah. So we'll see if he gets that to us. For first step is he's got to be a little more communicative, so we know whether it's coming or not. But all that is going to be unfolding in the next couple of weeks. We have plenty of time this calendar year, between the end of the calendar year and now. So we're coming to you in mid-August. So we're just going. Today's episode is going to be a little bit of a catch up. Um, Sometimes we have a guest, and we don't have that constraint coming up, so we can talk about Turbo, and we can talk about the end of the world timeline, which is the Turbo world. Um, and yeah, let's dive right in. So I'm on this first page, and I made a decision, even though this wasn't in the script. I'm going to take a little descriptor that was in the script that was only meant for the artist to give him a sense of what's going on, and I think we need to put something here in the actual page here to try and set up what's going on. So it says in 2213, most civil functions are privatized by the Huberton corporate kleptocracy. Government institutions are still limping along, but many aspects of life are in decline as drones, robots, and high tech weapons technology have changed society, forcing people to either move to a corporate controlled area or live in a resistance zone. So I'm going to take out this corporate up there. And what else was just duplicative there? Oh, drones, robot, drones, robots, and high tech weapons technology have changed society. So that is a segment I want to do today. Um, my homework during the week has included. Um, I did a little research on the latest state of the art of drone wars. So, as everybody knows, in 2025, we're still talking about Ukraine and Russia are have been at war for a couple of years, and there's a drone fight going on that has taken over, and I'm wondering what Kurt's awareness is of these battles that are being waged right now with drones kind of replacing the traditional weapons of warfare. So, Kurt,
Um,
what's your state of the art of the
I'm not
knowledge?
going to. I'm not going to fib. I'm not that caught up. But the technology. The last time I saw anything, which was months ago, was my confusion always came up with the predecessor of, you know, we used to call them heat-seeking missiles, right? Or, targeted missiles. So I always think, technology as it comes about, especially in warfare, and it has this, advanced, more advanced looking facade. I still go back into, like, is the technology running it, just has it just been upgraded? So, I know we're using the word drone in a hyperbolic comic book sense. And a complete autonomy is also associated with drone, but I still feel the relationship of man using weapon to attack is still there.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely got to be a live operator behind it, even if it is a drone. It's not like the drone does all the thinking, and that's kind of where we are now. Although we're going to a place where the drone will do all the thinking, and it'll be crazy because there'll be life and death, and there'll be plenty of mistakes, and those will be deaths. But here's what I've learned. I've listened to a couple of podcasts with military experts, kind of explaining what's been happening. Um, a couple of months ago, there was this offensive where Ukraine took out about a quarter, I think, of the Russian air fleet, and they were able to bring some, to smuggle some trucks, some 18-wheeler trucks into Russia, but they were still like 3 miles away from their target. And the tops of these trucks opened up, and it wasn't missiles. It wasn't like these land to land missiles. It was drones that that they um, that they launched. And what the new information is that we're finding out now is that the Russians and the Ukrainians both have electronic jamming technology, which can render drones pretty much useless because you can cut off the signal from the operator, and so they go blind, and the drone is just flying around, just wasted money. These drones cost about $450 a piece, by the way, because they're armed with C4, or they're armed with some kind of like explode. Some of them literally drop a grenade like into a tank, and there's videos of this, where there's celebratory videos that the Ukrainians will post if they took out like a $20 million tank system. But what's new is that they've gotten around the jamming technology by, believe it or not, using fiber optic wire that is attached to the drone as it flies away for miles to its target. And it cannot be jammed because it's an actual hardwired, fiber optic, very thin fiber optic cable. As a result, you're seeing these wires that are all over the countryside now, and they say birds are using them to make nests. and they're tangling up in the wheels of trucks and cars, and they're getting in all places of society. But there's miles and miles of it because the Russians have figured this out too now. And this is the state of the art now in August of 2025, is that there's drone wars happening where a $400 drone can take out a $10 million tank, or like $30 million missile launching system, which is like mounted on the back of a truck. And that's a big deal. So the Ukrainians really did damage, and the the latest news is that Russia and Ukraine had a meeting in Alaska to sit down. Although everything I heard, nothing came out of it. It was all a lot of hype and a lot of false promises. But it did bring Russia at least to the negotiating table for the first time. What's being negotiated, I have no idea, but we're in a place and time where you know the usual tanks that used to roll in and just batter cities or frontline military outposts are ineffective now. You cannot roll tanks in. It doesn't make any sense because low cost drones can take them out. And we're only talking about one drone, like a $450 drone. And there's videos of this, which I watched over and over and over and over, where a drone puts the tank on fire. The fire spreads to the tank's own ammunition and blows it to bits. And on the screen they then put a graphic what the cost was of the tank. So it's shifting right now, the strategy, and they're talking about both offensive and defensive drones being manufactured right now in such quantity that the estimate I heard from one you know war correspondent was that um, Ukrainians are seeking $1 billion in funding to create 1 million drones. So I guess they're trying to get the price point down to like $100 or something. But
Well,
uh,
if they get them from Amazon, I think it'd be free shipping.
very funny. Um,
Well, no, just think about that, Jake. I mean, just take 1 second and like $140 and times 100 is what, $14,000?
well, if you place an order with
That's some
Amazon,
pocket. That's some
yeah, if you
pocket
place an order with
change.
Amazon for 1 million drones, I don't think that's happening.
I don't
No,
know.
they
Well, I mean, you gotta space it out though. I mean, you could put Amazon also has a subscription plan. Like I have a couple of items that grocery wise that I could have come like every 5 weeks, and it just automatically charges me at that price and everything. So now I am making some humor of it, but also at the same time, I'm also trying to shift the consciousness of how war was portrayed and done upon each other to now this major shift, which you can't tell me D. Huberton family / Amazon wouldn't want to get into the game, but it not have to be a burden on them manufacturing. It's just them doing their distribution model and selling at a profit.
well, they have to be manufactured, and the
Yeah, but
you
drones
know
are manufactured by all sorts of people and companies all over the world.
right, and that's part of the reporting. They said that Ukraine has been buying all of these cheaply made commercial drones and trying everything out. There's
Sure.
no harm in like maxing out and from some company. So, but they say that Russia is being helped by Iran because Iran is a little ahead of the curve on the drone manufacturing technology, especially for actual warfare. And I'm not sure what's going on with Ukraine, but I think so. So let's talk about the tip of the spear here, because um, when you picture, the most valuable warriors, in a fight like this, you think about some like leatherneck Marines who are trained and they're muscle bound and they know how to use weapons and they can crawl under barbed wire and everything. But
Done.
it seems like it's turn.
It's
Well,
it's
that's the
over.
what's that? Yeah, that right. So
That Rambo has been retired, and I
right.
just
So
watched something. I just watched something on the how the U.S. police force in the mid '80s used the first movie, First Blood, John Rambo, as a training video on how not to handle somebody like John Rambo, which was a Vietnam War veteran with PTSD. So we're retiring that now, right?
right, but who is the ideal weapons operator at this point? It is actually
Gamers.
right. It is
Yeah.
a tech nerd, and what
Yep.
they're doing is, I mean, it doesn't mean they're haven't gone through basic or whatever, but it means that they're putting on these wraparound goggles and they're operating drones that are first person camera mounted kamikaze missions, each one of them, and as soon as they blow something up, they're on to the next one, and they're operating them with joysticks. So it is all of that practice that these gamer kids have had, um absolutely 100% is suiting what the military's needs right now, at least in these positions. And you're going to imagine that there's going to be more and more and more of them. There's going to be banks of them. They do need to be somewhere out in the field, right? So that's dangerous, but they can be miles away in any direction. And that's the new safety of modern warfare, where we're just going to be having these cheaply made machines that are manufactured in incredibly high volume, but that are armed significantly, and they're going to be the front lines of killing whatever resistance is there, and then taking the territory and inching forward. And when can you bring your humans in safely to occupy an area? There's always going to be the threat of stochastic attacks, where where you have this, you're holding this ground, but a drone gets in every once in a while and kills a couple of your people, right? So there's always going to be that kind of like nagging feeling. But look, I'm trying to think, why are we saying all this? I'm trying to think 100 years ahead, 150 years ahead. God only knows what's going to be happening. But I in my story in on the Substack, I was writing that there was mass manufacturing of drones that were 24/7 round the clock, that the drones only had enough capability of navigation and flight and gliding, and that they just had like a little bit of C4 payload, where they could kill a human by cracking their skull with very little C4, or if they had like like a, a pound of it, or I don't know the exact amounts that you need, to blow it, to put a tank on fire. But whatever it is, these drones can carry dozens of pounds. And like I've heard of 60-pound drones are pretty common right now. And I don't even think you need that much, although maybe the ones that are dropping grenades, are heavier. Then you have also the big drones that we're talking about, the predator drones that fly much higher, and those are starting to be deployed in U.S. cities. Unfortunately, I just found out. But they're mostly for surveillance, and they can launch missiles. What you were mentioning before was guided missiles, um, which are going right towards a GPS location, and that requires a little more technology and cost. But the cost keeps coming down, and it is going to be interesting to see who becomes these high volume drone manufacturing suppliers, whether it's governments or whether it's corporations that that are arms suppliers now rather than tech companies. I think Google is in that space now, or whatever company Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, used to. I don't know if he's still with Google and Alphabet, but last interview he said he is a registered weapons manufacturer now. So yeah, they're building these drones, and it's changing, warfare. Um, I think for the better because less humans are being killed. But when you think of a country like Russia, who's so aggressive and has a lot of money to spend, and build this department out, their drone warfare department, what's going to happen and how it's going to innovate. You wonder, it's going to enable them to do. So, right now the Europe and the US is a check on Russia because we're funding Ukraine as a proxy. A lot of other countries are chipping in, but Russia wants that land. And we have a malign actor on the world stage, Putin. So that is our geopolitical segment. I tried to make this about technology and the future and the present and what's happening now, but some stuff to think about. And as always, if anybody's watching this live or on tape, feel free to lay a comment on us, or a question, and you can lay comments live on our YouTube channel, right, Kurt? Or you have to go on
Oh
Instagram.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
function. No, that's functioning right now. Yeah,
right.
we're only doing YouTube live. We're not messing around with Instagram.
Oh,
So
we're not on Instagram right now.
no, I'm not. Nothing ever comes of it anymore because I
Right.
send everybody. All the cool kids have just been migrating automatically over to YouTube. So we've sent that message, and then I also post that we were on YouTube live, and so therefore, if you missed it, then get yourself subscribed to us for
Right
the
there.
notifications. Boo, 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 boo. So one just like I don't want to go too deep into this, but I couldn't help this topic of mine coming up more and more because I have multiple comic book projects other than every Sundays with you. I'm working on my crime anthology, but I also have this Gardner Francis Fox library that I'm the custodian of, and the top three selling books or the top two genres that sell the most, which is actually almost a third of his writing proficiency, is Sword and Sorcery, which was his Kyric, Kothar, Nile, and then Crom the Barbarian, the comic book, a character that's in the public domain. But the other one's espionage, or what was in the 70s coined as sexpionage. So he had Eve Drum, who was a lady from Lust, and then Cherry Delight, who was actually fighting the mafia. Now, my little hat getting thrown into the ring here on the geopolitical landscape. I'm questioning how more relevant espionage is going to be, especially because I don't think people realize, even with heat-seeking missiles, that technology, ancient, moving even up to this, drones in a truck getting over the border, you need intel from humans that are behind enemy lines. So that has always been in warfare the secret to success has been espionage. It's just been categorically thought of as cheating, if you will, where one army would ride up into the battlefield on one side and one army would ride up, this is European standards, ride up on the other side and then just manpower themselves until there's somebody left. Even back then, they were always sending out espionage agents to find out, the landscape and the, so on and so forth. So I wonder and pose this question to you, my dear friend and colleague. Are there going to be any espionage agents in the end of the world timeline? And if not, can I start working on one?
Oh, yeah. Wait, yes and yes, yes and yes. So the ultimate espionage agent is Shankra. She starts at the very top. But there will be not just espionage, because what good is only having intel if you're not behind the scenes actually putting a wrench in the works. Because by the time you get the intel to somebody that could do something about it, getting behind enemy lines, or sabotaging things from within, let's say, is going to be hard. And um, if you also remember our discussions about the sentient dome is going to be this, really kind of interesting, chess game society where um, everybody in there, right? The sentient dome is supposed to be operated by neutral operators, that just keep everybody alive, and their purpose is just to provide the functions of helping all these people survive, and food, water, basic needs. But within the sentient dome, half the people are dehuberton aligned, and the other half are resistance aligned, or vice versa, and we don't know the numbers, and everybody can be a double agent or a triple agent, outwardly or inwardly, and we have no idea until something happens, because you're keeping your cards to the vest. And so that's going to be really interesting about the sentience, because these are going to be a very privileged class of people that have robot parts, or they have synthetic parts, and only a couple of organs that are left. But their allegiances are either to they are to whoever is helping them, keep them alive, or keep their cause going, or their family. So there's going to be a lot of factionality within the sentient dome. That's going to be people that are playing both sides, and have a lot of secrets. And there's going to be everything that you put in writing or say aloud is going to be monitored. So it's going to be literally like requiring thought, other communication planes, which could be encrypted radio signals, or it could be something a little more organic, like like an astral plane where people can meet to communicate. And that will be pioneered by young Esoterra and her friends many years before. But there will be people that can communicate, secretly and privately, and that's going to be the most important thing. Because Kurt, we're in real life, we're only days away, months away from quantum computing, which they say is going to be able to defeat any form of encryption there is. Right? Have you been hearing about that as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So right. So that's going to be baked in, to our storyline too. So how are what's going to be the way that eludes detection when you're just trying to get a message. Let's say you're behind the front lines, and you're a long-term plant, and you're just some worker in some office or something, but you have all this great intel about the dehuberton family. How do you communicate it if everything is monitored by robotic AI on every channel, every wavelength, every form of communication? And so the answer will have to be, it'll have to be physical, like literally passing notes again, with like, drone hummingbird drones or something. Or maybe there'll be two people that can participate in some kind of astral plane, or maybe there'll be some kind of technology that can operate on different planes that that the bad guys are in on. Like right now we use radio transmission. We've cut up the radio spectrum from the radio waves into the microwaves. And then there's going to be the sub micro coming soon. But you know all that stuff is real interesting technology that's moving ahead. And you know it's been my homework to try to research some of this stuff. And AI, that's where AI is actually valuable. But the times are changing. So
Well, they've
you know
changed.
yeah. So
It's all changed.
if you had something in mind for espionage, there's going to be um definite need for intel. But that does go both ways. And the company man is another example of a guy that was working for the DeHubertons, although reluctantly, and ended up being a whistleblower. So there's going to be all those kind of things. But there's going to be a lot of death and destruction. And unfortunately, I think this is going to be real life. It's going to be real life too. There's not going to be too much difference, unfortunately. I mean, we're getting into some. I think I on the Doom Mag's Instagram and the Doom Mag's Twitter, which is just at Doom Mags. I tried to. I posted a video. If anybody wants to see some of that drone warfare going on, and you want to see those videos of the Ukrainians defeating these very expensive weapon systems and tanks. But I also have been listening to. I mean, you could hear these oligarchs, right? So we have the latest one was Peter Thiel, and I'm not sure if I reposted this. I'm not sure how to repost. I know this sounds boomery, but how do you repost something on Instagram? When you hit share, it asks you what person you want to share it to, and you're like, no, I just want to share it with everybody.
Yeah.
So
Well,
then
now
you
there's this like button. There's
have,
this like two arrows chasing each other under some of people's posts,
yeah,
but not all people's. I think you have to be friends with that person, or you're mutually. This is assumption. I'm not versed in it, because like the people I follow, every the first like 8 to 10, if I'm lucky, 12 posts are all like people I'm following and I'm enthralled in their comic book and art. And then it all starts becoming, shitbird stuff. But the ones that like I said, these are the people that we mutually follow each other. I saw this thing and I saw it this morning and I clicked it and it just automatically popped out and said, "Thank you for sharing so-and-so's post." And I'm like, I didn't want to share the post. I wanted to know what the fuck the two arrows following it is. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing that infuriates me the most about Instagram and all Instagram particularly, is that they just don't give you any kind of information. They just put these buttons shiny and bright, not really, in front of you, and you click them, and then all of a sudden you're doing it. So I don't know.
yeah.
I'm not that
I
versed in it,
I
but
noticed something I saw notable on this week on Instagram was I follow Neil Young, and he's got his account Neil Young Archives. Sometimes he posts like a link to like a free song or like a little video. And I love Neil Young, one of my favorites. Anyway, he puts this post on Instagram, and he says, uh, regrettably, this will be our last post on Instagram. We have decided that we're no longer. I'm paraphrasing. We have decided that we're no longer going to support any Meta products because they are using AI to interact with children. And so it came to their attention that they have these new friend bots or these new you know
ugh,
character
God.
things, and that
Ugh.
they're quite far along. I can't wait until school starts in just about 3 weeks, and I'm going to see how many of my students are, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade are now addicted to having a virtual friend. I'm sure this is
Just say it.
happening.
It's an AI friend. It's an actual character that comes to care for them and therefore makes decisions for them,
Yeah, and
and it
adults.
excludes adults, including parents, because
Yeah,
all
well,
parents
adults.
are assholes. All parents are assholes. Come on, let's just admit it. And then,
Yeah,
yeah,
sorry,
I
bud.
just I don't know why Neil Young thinks it's gonna hurt.
Instagram. No, he's
Instagram.
Well, it's
Thinks
he
so.
put the word out, and he's
Yeah,
making people
yeah,
aware. And
yeah.
I'm already. I mean, that was news to me. I was already following
Yeah, it's
a
news to
couple
me
of
too.
privacy organizations, that are trying to protect kids from data mining and stuff in the educational sphere. But this is just another thing, and it's the adults too. I mean, the adults are
It's
allowing it. The
all
adults the
adults.
adults are
It's
doing
all
it themselves.
adults. It's
There's
just all
all this
adults.
creepy, romance bots now that people can
Ugh.
get into. I even downloaded it and I tried it, to just to see what's going on. There's Replica. It's very unhealthy for mentally vulnerable people. They admit it. They're in learning mode really right now. So right now the big companies, they're all just throwing their products out there because they're still refining, and it'll be years.
Yeah, they can only do it. They can only do it in real time. So they have to
Right.
have you. They
To
have to
be
have you.
as a guinea pig.
Yeah, but you also you have to overly engage it. That's what their hopes and dreams are. So
Yeah, you put in all this time, and you're basically an unpaid
man,
test.
by the time you get, you're just a few years away from, if you choose to retire. But in the next 2 years, you could be a meta tech support
Person.
agent for all of these individuals, or like even like a lifeguard. Anyone say what watchdog, but like a lifeguard for children, and the monitoring. I don't know, man. Like that seems darker than what the hell's going on over in any other country that's trying to kill the fuck out of each other. I mean,
Well, yes,
it's
we're
so
doing it.
disheartening.
We're doing it from within, and I always refer people to this great New York Times video, whatever, installment that they have called Operation Infection, and it tells everybody about the history of how foreign actors got all this misinformation into the American
Mm.
bloodstream,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and it
That's the real war. That's the real war we're in, is ideology and information.
yeah, well,
Even going back to these drones killing each other, and they're not killing each other. They're just taking out massive amounts of military installations. But at the end of the day, there's still people around it and everything. But when it comes down to it, no country. I can't. I've been trying to find the person who made this quote that has stuck in my head when he was asked, what would it be like under Chinese rule, and he snickers. This individual Snickers is a professional, whatever you are, and just makes this statement like no other country in the world wants to rule us because we're so freaking unruly. And the secret to our success of not being ruled is we're 50 states. Just
right.
because you overthrow the federal government, that doesn't do shit for you because you got 50 other states that man up. And so it's just there's no clear way of ruling us. But if you want to subject us or subjugate us into our own hell, if you will, and like we are right now, Civil War wise, by ideology and thought, It's a success. It's a blooming success.
Yeah. So that's where 2016 elections proved that America is very manipulable and malleable, and not just by Russia, China. Some of these countries, all they want to do is make money. Some of these countries, they want to you know have their PR, like Iran has a state media channel, Russia has a state media channel.
Yeah, man. It's all about the
I've been
money. It's the Benjamins.
I've been contacted by Russia asking me if I wanted to appear on RT and asking me if I used to write some articles for education stuff, and next thing you know, hello, Mister, my name is Paul Mironov. I am contacting you to find a. I'm like, okay, yeah. So and a lot of people have taken the bait. There's Tucker Carlson and all those guys. They were all secretly on the payroll, and they got caught. Oops, and they got their hand in the cookie jar. But that's only one country. You have the same thing going from China, same thing going from Turkey, same thing going from all these countries. And sometimes the person that's doing it doesn't even realize, that they're being used like that. So like honestly, but there's when a podcaster gets $100,000 per episode, they don't ask too many questions, right? They just they say, well, it was a guy, he was from Belgium, the money was good, and I did the episode, right? And you never thought for 1 minute that you were that it was just a shell company or anything. No, I didn't think about that too much. Okay, fine.
Why would it be? I'm
Right.
so good at who I am that I'm worth that $100,000. That's the
Well, they're
best part
getting rich.
about it.
They're getting rich. So,
Ah, yeah,
whatever has to happen, they're fine with that. So
yeah.
yeah, that's happening, and it's going to continue to happen. And in our story, it's going to be a really big, plot
Maybe
point
shoot.
how the Hubertons are able to, convert people to their way of takeover, right? That includes the scientists and of course the fighters, and we all know how they get the enrollment up in their military is by offering free pleasure robots and free lifestyle packages, and part of that is going to be the virtual reality systems of the future, where they're going to be highly addicting and very pleasurable for people to escape into these like headphones and goggles and everything, and live in another world. And we've seen some other sci-fi kind of embrace that, but I think that's coming too, where there's they're going to be creating these metaverses. They already are, and they're going to be so immersive that they're going to cause serious addiction for people that are just going to be disappearing into these realms and these worlds that are being built. And just like we're seeing with Facebook now and Instagram and Twitter and everything, a lot of it is going to be people volunteering their own time, their own data, and their own, not thinking long term, input to build these platforms up, because they're going to have like some channel or something where they're going to get some benefit, and they're going to be creating a really good example of this is Roblox. Kurt, are you even aware what's going on with Roblox right now?
Like driving your car,
No, Roblox.
roadblocks.
No, Roblox. Roblox. It's a with Robux. It's like one of the largest kids platforms online where kids play
No
games.
idea.
Yeah,
No idea.
so Roblox has I don't know how many 100 million users across the globe, and it's this little thing like Minecraft where you go in and you build little worlds and you build little structures, and then people can visit your world, and then you could have all kinds of interactions. But and forgive me if I'm kids if I'm getting any part of this wrong, but
Kids.
yes, well, maybe
Kids.
maybe kids in the future will grow up and see this, but if you play Roblox now, my understanding is that they have an IRL currency called Robux, and it's very exploitive. There was a ProPublica article about how kids are putting like you know one real dollar buys you like 30 robux in those world where you can go buy a skin, or you could go buy a weapon, or you could play somebody's game. Now what they're doing is they're using hundreds of thousands of volunteer programmers who are kids mostly, that are coders, and they're able to use these APIs, and they're able to use these tools to build games that other kids can play. Most of them go nowhere and make the kids nothing, but it's kind of like a sandbox where they're learning how to code and everything. But every once in a while, you have a product that takes off, and it's successful, and those kids might see some income, and um, the the exploitation part comes in, where the company and the CEO is this real dicky guy, is taking the lion's share of everything. And even for these kids that are really really built a popular game within the Roblox world and the Roblox platform, they might only see like 20 cents on the dollar that they're generating for this company. And a lot of people are complaining about it because these are just kids, right? And there's first of all, like, what's the age limit? Is this 13 and up, or is this like 11 and up? The other thing is, how are they able to sign these legal documents that are governing thousands of dollars of monthly income in these cases, when they're just minors? So there's a lot of different things that are coming out of that. But I'm surprised you didn't I guess as I only heard about it as a teacher, but my daughters, who are in their 20s now, they've heard of Roblox, and they've heard of Minecraft. They were playing Sims, and they were playing what's the other one, Minecraft, for quite a long time. And these are platforms that are built for kids that have a lot of kind of ingenuity that is contributed by the kids, by the users, by the members, and it makes these CEOs into like mega billionaires, and it gives them a lot of power, over what's happening. In the meantime, the kids get nothing, and so these are the platforms that are going to be built, in the future. And the metaverse, they were talking about the metaverses, and Wall Street was diving in, to the tune of billions of dollars, and it kind of flopped, but it's still being built, and now it's just changing over to like AI. This big investment in AI that these huge players think is
Excuse me.
going to bless you, that they think it's going to yield them some profit at some point. But I'm not sure if that's actually going to be happening, because some real industry experts wonder if AI is going to monetize. Like, everybody's enjoying it because it's free, and AI is enjoying that they're training people for free, unwittingly or not. But when it comes time for them to get their $100 billion investment back for shareholders, what are they how are they going to start charging people? Do they think that people are going to pay for a robot romantic companion? Do they think that people are going to pay for the ability to Google things now in this new way?
Always go for the free version.
Right. Do they think that people are going to, like what do they think?
Oh God.
And so the real money is like where businesses are automating stuff and killing jobs. But that's what's happening right now. So like, what's going to happen once these data centers go online? And God help us, the amount of energy that it uses, right? Like, you're aware of that too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So we're at the 49-minute mark. The Going back to the text Yeah, that text there. You were mentioning at the end of last episode that there is the design, the page design that Ken Landgraf has. I went through a similar shoot. I didn't print it out, did I? Oh man, I'll have to bring it out then. But I had 4 pages done by Ken Landgraf, and I had to letter it. The thing that I was doing was, using actually, the gutter for placement of blocks, but it also forced me to pare down, 3 sentences to 2, or 2 sentences into 1. Did you do any thinking in review of the script for the casualties that?
No, that's what we're going to be doing as we lay in the lettering. So we're going to be doing that in real time, and yeah, what I'm doing on screen right now is here's the Quark document. I use this little like font here to try to just temporarily block out what's going to be here, but I have to make these letters now. So I brought this over to Photoshop, and I'm on a layer on top of Ken's actual art, and I put this little preview in so I can see how big the dialogue box needs to be, and then I typed out in these just random fonts here that which can be changed. But I'm going to be going over this and drawing the lettering right now, and this is something I can do without too much thought as we're talking.
Wait a second. So now you're in Photoshop, and now you're going to start. I thought we were going to actually letter the whole, lay out the lettering of the comic from here on out.
We need to lay out the lettering of the comic, but I also have to do the title graphics lettering as well.
Oh, I see. Because I can handle printing out just the text. Like here, you can see. I actually can show you. It's going to be right here. Oh my God. Oh. There we go. So this is page 1 that I did for the Ken Landgraf Crom and Dravina's part 1. And you can see, here we go. So that was the layout that I had placed in on Photoshop, and I just put that. And then this is obviously a layer above the art. Take the art out, transparent. I make a transparency at 10% of the text, and then print it out, 2 sides that I have it at 13 by 19, and then I just do the hand lettering, and then put the bubbles in there. So I'll print out a page for next week to show this page, with this hand drawn lettering. So I still can make that, basically a responsibility of mine.
Well, that looks like a font. That's not hand drawn lettering.
This is a hand drawn lettering. This is hand drawn.
Right. No, I mean the part above. Right. The title graphics.
No, that's hand drawn.
Oh, it is?
That's hand drawn. That's hand drawn. That's hand drawn. This is all hand drawn because I want my comic book pages to be 90 plus 95% hand drawn.
I don't see any variance in those R's.
I'm that good, Jake. Bitch, I'm that good.
All right. Because sometimes my students.
Your camera could be a little fuzzy.
Sometimes my students.
God bless, and your eyes. God bless your old soul.
Right. All right. I'm listening. So, yeah, I'm.
You a believer?
Yeah. Here's what I did so far. We have taken the text from the script. I started laying in this panel here. Trapped in the airport bathroom, cornered like rats. I wasn't sure I struck out like that with the mirror shard, surprising myself as much as anyone. When you zoom out, it kind of disappears. Here I have sob sniff. This is where Ken drew these buxom, the little sisters and the mother. I think this is supposed to be the mother right here.
Yeah.
He drew them kind of on the buxom side, but you know.
Hallelujah.
Now, what do we do here? Here's our first puzzle for the day. What do we do?
Okay.
The script said uh, they were saying sob sniff, right? They were cowering in the corner, and we just used sob sniff for like a placeholder. But what could they actually be saying? Like, do we write sob in this word balloon right here? Do we write?
And sniff.
Yeah,
Why not?
yeah, okay.
I mean, I understand the placeholder, but I don't. I'm concerned now that once we start going into, elevating snob and sniff into some sort of like, but why the blah 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 blah. That type of reaction to what's ever happening, or what is happening, is just going to be too much text. My thing was and is with Ken's art, and I think you even said this at the end of last episode too, is the graphic treatment of the page is undeniable. It's a taste. Some people will be like, whoa, what the is that? But the iconography is all comic books, so you cannot be denied that this is a well placed together comic book. The sequences are interpretive to what you had laid out in your script. Now it only becomes, in my opinion, a blurb or two here and there to keep the flow and the description of said story make sense.
Right. Yeah, that's our next
You said
order.
that. Right. So that's where this paring down. That's why I was like, I didn't know if you sat down with your script, and then just started redlining out, like, we don't need to say that because there is some sense of description about, the fighting and the blah, 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 what have you. But the first order of business on my list is to identify this character, that somebody sees her and goes, oh, and then it keeps every time you move through the story, and then when we come across the next character, like, who's that? Identify that character. That would be my priority.
Well, that's where
moving forward.
Yeah,
like that's the standard. That was like the checkpoint one.
Yeah.
In evaluating,
so
right?
It's a great comment. And it's very practical. But that's why we have an advantage by having a prose page introduce the 6-pager, because that's going to take us all the
nobody
way.
will read.
Well, you could read. I mean that. So if we want to have,
we could make it more readable by having graphics in there, like we do, for, like, this is a pleasure to read. Whether you actually sit there and read each of these paragraphs.
Right. Well, that's what I mean.
Okay, sure. Okay.
That's what I mean when I say.
Okay. Oh, Miss Ike. Okay. Oh, Mr. Ike. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. No. This is really cool. Yeah. Oh, elevate. Okay. So this is elevate. Okay. That's just kind of word and picture 101, right?
Yes. Well, so I am going to have. All right. So in this panel right here, who the hell is this guy? Right. Nobody knows. So
right.
There is going to be. It says that the script says right here, one of the mercenaries is off camera, Dr. Marauder. Right. So they'll at least tell us his name. The setup is in the zine page, and it's not going to be a big boring wall of text. It is going to be like that, and hopefully we can invite people to read that, especially if they want to know what the story is. Yes, I understand 99% of people just flip through and look at the pictures, but if you slow something down, and they actually read it, then they'll get the benefit. So,
or we could have a QR code that goes to a video that actually has you or an AI voice narrating said text with images from the book. So then there's that sort of like
Yeah.
shifting
So
between the two mediums because it's not a waste. I'm not trying to say it's a waste at all. Not, the
right.
a real true fan, myself included, with Savage Sword of Conan, I never read the articles when I was 13, 14 years old. Hated reading. Get to my mid 20s, having read through my hundreds of issues of Savage Sword of Conan. Yeah, I've seen the story. Yeah. Well, let me start reading this article about this. Wow, this Robert A. Howard guy is pretty cool. Oh, he's the one that you start getting more enlightened and entrenched and as a true fan. And that's really why it gets laid in, the blocks of text, I think.
yeah. So what we're trying to do is just trying to see how much we could entice people to read. Because the way it looks now, we're gonna have lots of those zine pages, and there's a lot of writing that I've done, and there's a lot of sketching that I've done, and why not put it together in these nice little puzzle formations, and put them out there. So that's exactly what. And then these six pagers, if you do read it, then the six pager is like, wow, now we're going to go to the action part, where there's visuals, and they'll, if you invest a little bit of time into reading the backstory, then you get the payoff of seeing, the action all drawn out and everything. So, um, the idea is there, and we've spoken. I know in some episode in the past, we've spoken about, hey, why don't people make these little videos where they do flip throughs, and
Yes.
they explain the dialogue, they
Yes.
narrate the dialogue, right?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
we've seen those, I think they call motion comics too, where they have you know they have some cheap animation that goes with it. Marvel has done this, DC has done this. They get somebody to like literally just cut out the artwork from the comic, and then use low cost animation, to try to bring it to life with very little motions, like the arm is just very slowly going from the left to the right. It's kind of like the cheap Marvel animation of the 60s. But that I think that has some untapped potential too. you know
Yeah, I actually just started learning DaVinci Resolve. It's a free, like mega editor studio.
yeah.
Because I want to upgrade for my open shot, and so I've been watching a lot of how-to videos on YouTube, and of course, one of those really cool suggested videos that came up was upping your animation game, which is basically the same thing you just said. It's like, and it has, Jake, if you remember, I forget what they call it, but it's node driven area, but it's all script, like action scripts. Remember when Flash had jumped, was it 2000 into maybe
JavaScript.
2001?
Yeah.
Yeah, JavaScript, but they called it action script at that point. I think they were just trying to coin their own little thing and stuff. But yeah, that's the dynamic, the DHTML thing. So yeah, I mean that's one thing that I still hold on to when it comes to our relationship creatively is the motion graphics slash animation, because we did pretty well for ourselves at that point.
Right. Now it could be as simple as somebody just thumbing through the comic and reading, like story time.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could put some music beds in, and you could have some voice, AI voices doing it, or you could have like multiple actors doing it. You could have sound effects. There's a whole realm of possibility if you're just trying to get the person to read along with you, like and follow the script. So all of those things
Well,
are
that's also like one of the plugs I gave Alex Turbin, because Alex Turbin's YouTube channel primarily has him sitting down and flipping through a comic for about 20-25 minutes. And his thorough, he doesn't read the comic per se, panel to panel, but he holds the comic book out and open long enough that on a big screen TV during breakfast, I can lean in and read the page and listen to him comment.
yeah.
So that's even, I think, a very, very powerful thing. And, as I said to Alex last week, is, he is sometimes there with me at breakfast.
Yeah, well, we've gone into that in our flip throughs. Sometimes we slow down and we read all the
Yeah.
dialogue on a
Yeah.
page. We did
You're
that.
better at it. You're
We were
better at
doing,
it than me, though.
yeah, we were doing that with Commandy, right? We were,
Yeah. Oh, well, that was Commandy on purpose. Like, we did that on purpose with Commandy.
yeah,
But I'm
but
saying, like, after this episode, we're going to jump to a live comics influence episode. And, I'm only going to be reviewing 5, maybe 6 comics. But there are probably segments that both of us are going to have, like, really want to dive into.
yeah, right. Well, that's what we're all about. Is that we want the value of the YouTube video to enhance the value of the comic, right? And whether it's a comic that we're promoting, that we're doing, and we're trying to sell copies of, or we're just trying to, or we're doing art education and we're going over, like the art of comics and the history of comics. But yeah, that's there's a whole spectrum of things that can be done, that that aren't being done. So that's all I was trying to say. And I think on these I'm going to go with separate word balloons, and I just have these be clear, uh, because yeah, that's what we're gonna do, because we just want to have just a square box. We can fit these things better. I'm gonna steal the text, and the text needs to be. Oh, here I have to open the former teaser so that we can see what the do we want to stick with this type size. This is 11.26 and with a horizontal scaling of 85%. And
Yeah, that's usually standard, because what it'll bump up to is, I think, when I blow up, if I do I should do the handwriting of the text. It bumps up at 13 by 19 inches to, I think, like 21. So,
yeah,
which is really, really decent to be able to, basically trace over.
right. Okay, so I'm going to make all this text 11.26 and 85% horizontal scaling. And that is our starting point for everything. And now um, that'll help us fit these things a little bit better,
Go for it.
because they're a little big. Um, did I do all these yet? Yeah, these are 11.26, 11.26, 11.26. Good. All right, so I just have to do this down here. She must not be harmed. Dr. Marauder. Yes, underlings, I have arrived to at last claim my latest possession. And um, this is going to be tricky. So I'm going to make it easier and put my boxes in a clear box, and then I can do the the backing balloon shape, without having to worry. So it'll be a little extra step, but
Okay.
it's working. Um, Yeah, so this will explain in detail who Charbel is and who Dr. Moroder is, and Bianca. We could always change the text as well. Um, to do anytime up till printing. So that's going to be fun while we're laying out the zine pages. I'm really excited about the zine pages, actually.
No, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you get a scanner and you can start scanning in all your little doodle illustrations, then you can get them over to me, and then I can start doing some inking like I did for Mr. and Mrs. I.
Yeah. So you are you're down to ink some of
Heck
those
yeah.
pencils. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. All right.
I'm going to be, I mean, I'm literally, today, I will have pages 19 through 28 in my 80% skeletal black and white, black ink inking completed, which means I'll scan all the pages to size, and then I can start going and working on the gray valuing for the next 6 pages, which would be 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, which would appear in Doom Magazine's #2. So that'll be working well ahead of the game, but I can still lend myself to any kind of tasks that's needed in order to keep things perpetually moving to completion. I have to be prepared for receiving Alex's pages in order to make between the two of us an agreeable variant version. Based on how he ends up putting that treatment together. But yeah, no, that that promotion, if you will, for the Doom Mag Substack with all the text and images, I'm super excited about.
Yeah. So I have been writing on the Substack. I I wonder if we should look into some kind of automated tool where you automatically get notified when any page on hellclaw.com gets updated. Would that be helpful? Because there are such tools, and I
You
think
can, why not just dovetail it into Doom Mag's Substack? In other words, just make a very quick link. So the primary function I use, and it is kind of tricky to fall back into the blogging thought, I think of it as a newsletter first. So anything I'm writing and presenting, I'm anticipating it being sent out to notify. It doesn't have to be an entire self-contained piece of content, but it definitely gives people notification and then clickable things to then go to cromthebarbarian.com or in the Gardner Francis Fox Library, download for a limited period of time, this book that we're reading chapter by chapter. So yeah, I mean, there's no reason why we can't have more and more hellclaw.com dovetailed into the posts and getting people, the notification, to go. Because every time I make posts, I use our Turbo Pit Fighter, fist punching logo to have people click that to come here to YouTube. Excuse me.
right. Yeah, so the Hell Claw is just the place where all the writing lives. The Substack is where you grab it and put the latest stuff on for instant email updates for any subscribers. And
Yeah.
yeah, but like, how do you know if I just like added like 5 paragraphs to the Quantum Druids page? So
Well,
I
then
I
you would make a post. Hey guys, just a heads up. Click here and read the next updates to the Druid page on. That's all. That's all it needs to
right,
be. With a
exactly,
graphic, a sweet
right.
little graphic. You know what I mean? Which you could just take a picture with your phone and add it to it.
Right. So you would get, well, all I'm saying is they have rather than me saying, and I'm bleary eyed in the middle of the night and I just do some writing and say, hey Kurt, I added 3.5 paragraphs to the Quantum Druids page. It could be where you get an automatic notification saying that that page has been updated.
You want to go down that road? That's fine. I mean, if there's a third-party piece of software to hook up to, you got WordPress, right? Is that what you have?
Yeah, there are plenty of
Ugh.
softwares. There's extensions, and there's apps, and there's like GitHub like cracks and all this stuff. But
Sure.
like I was saying, as long as it's free, But
Well, as long as it doesn't suck the time out of you. The problem I had, an issue with WordPress is any of those third-party, the moment they become obsolete, outdated, or abandoned, that's a day sucked away trying to maintain that the integrity of using that third-party software for whatever it needs to do. So,
right.
I hated it. Hated it. Still hate it.
Yeah. So let's see. We have some sound effects here. This is going to be very tight with the lettering, and I'm just going to feel free to make the lettering smaller, so that it all fits. This needs to be a blast panel, and we need to show that somehow. Maybe
Starburst, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to spell out doctor just because we have the space there. Yes, underlings. And so these will be linked, right? So this is going to be some tricky copy fitting for the letterer, but we'll do it.
Well, one of the things I've been very conscious about and doing my best to become more and more conscious about in my page making is the integration of text. The onomatopoeia, I think you're really, really good at. So even going back to the sniff sob or the sob sniff,
Yeah.
You're very good at upgrading that onomatopoeia to something, it's got a little giggle tied to it, or maybe a little bit more attention. So once more, I would lean on you to use your superpowers of well, you are, and you also too. It's a pleasure to read your comic layouts because you very, very, very rarely. I can even point out, the text dump. Everybody comments, and it needs to be said again. The entire story is in one page. This page will be worth millions of dollars in about 10 years. But here's a very, very perfect example of you laying out text integration to a graphic page. And this is a splash page with an inset. So this is Turbo. Then you got this little block of text, grunk, another block of text, and then the laying on the dirt, Turbo Pit Fighter, and then we just put in Jake, Kurt, for that. Then you get here is pretty hefty, but this is the first time you get the visual of the announcer, so that that deep connection too. And then that was where we agreed that two things should happen with his box. And that was this jaggedy thing that I came up with. And then we threw, I think, like a 10 or 20%, maybe even 30% gray screen on those. We dropped back opacity on some of this back here, which are thought balloons from Turbo. Another, schmap. It's just, so I'm just encouraging you to have that ability to feel looser with your text integration to Ken Landgraf's graphics.
Yeah, this is what we're doing right now. We're trying to play with this. Like, I'm going back and forth here. I know there's going to be a hand touch like after we're done here, but I'm just trying to get this figured out because when you see the actual art, it doesn't it doesn't fit so easy sometimes. And let's see, let me get this down to, if we get this down a size, then we can move these things around because you're going to be drawing these letters, and then you're going to be drawing these boxes, and I think can I make it? I think I wonder if I can make this a dot. Yeah, I'm going to make this a dotted line. That's going to remind you that this is going to be a blast panel. This is 11 points high, but it's not as tight as it could be. So I'm gonna do this line kerning and letter kerning, all this stuff. This could be moved over more. Dr. Marauder. This could also have a the balloon can be different shapes. I have no problem with the balloons being different shapes. I was making these like dents in all the balloons in issue 1, so we can definitely carry that forward. But yeah, we're just doing we're just doing the first page here. We're getting towards the bottom, but we're just doing the first page here of of fitting. And I also, if you notice, I've also cut out some text to make things fit better.
Yeah, no, I agree with it. So just a heads up and thought, and maybe suggestion that we're at 120 minutes. We have nothing following up officially with an interview this week, but we have 2 coming. I'll make an announcement later. I want to grab their books. And then if we wanted to jump out a little bit after, like, let's say 1:30, and then get ourselves set up to come back on live and do part 1 of 2, because I know you have a lot of comics. I had my birthday haul come through, which was coming in from about 5 different places of books. One of them, which I want to share today, which is my Power Pulp comics that I purchased. But how do you feel about, maybe finishing this page up and then closing this episode down and moving over to some Power Pulp comics? I mean, excuse me, some comics that influence.
Yeah, let's do it. I have to pull what I'm going to be going over.
Yeah, we'll have time.
What's that? Yeah,
we'll have time.
We'll just need a little break in between. But
yeah.
I was gonna maybe. I mean, I have a drawer here, and I think I have the heavy metal that we never went over. So maybe we want to discuss ahead of time how much of that we want to flip through. Right? You don't want to like do every single page of that, do you?
We'll do it in between episodes. We'll do it in between episodes. I mean, yeah. I mean, we don't want to spend. Yeah, I mean,
of each segment, I think.
Yeah. I mean, since it's been so long, it'd be nice to just dump a whole bunch of comic books out and just flip through them and show them off.
They're not on the stands anymore, for sure. Oh, also, are you ordering that new Crumb book? You can pre-order on Fantagraphics. $7.
Oh, yes. Thanks for reminding me. No, I am. Yes. I'm very excited about that.
I'm wondering if can you just do me a favor and get my copy, because this way we'll save on the shipping, and whenever I see you, I'll get my.
Sure.
Okay, because I was going to offer the other way around too, but if did you already order it yet, or you're going to?
No. It was just on the list of things to do. I was going to do it tomorrow, but
yeah. Well, they might. I mean, the good thing about pre-orders is that they can't sell out, so that's all good news.
Yeah, but they want to get his.
Yeah, Robert Crumb. I posted this on the Doomag's Twitter, but Robert Crumb is putting out his first new comic in like 28 years or something, and it looks like all the. Yeah, that's what it said. Something like that.
Years?
26, 28. Yeah, it was a long time. And it looks really good. Like, I think he's going to be commenting on a lot of modern things, so it should be pretty interesting. And that's available as we're broadcasting now for pre-order on Fantagraphics website.
23 years. The first R-Crumb comic book in 23 years.
Right.
Yeah.
See,
Tales of Paranoia.
Exactly what I said, except I got the number wrong.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's okay. It's no punishment. No punishment.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but the
that.
thing is, I don't. If I also want to save on shipping, so I was gonna grab like one or two other books. Um,
Oh well,
so
maybe that would be a good segment if you want to flip through the Fantagraphics catalog, because I might be up for something too there if we're combining
no,
shipping.
I can't. I don't. No, we're not doing it. We're not doing
Fantagraphics catalog is always a good flip through. I think I have some old ones here. Of course, we used to have stuff in their other catalog, their other imprint. But Fantagraphics is a great company, and I think Fantagraphics is they're on the heels of their smash runaway hit. The what I really what is it? My favorite thing in the world is monsters. That's a
it. Yeah.
million dollar seller, and so Fantagraphics, they're operating like now, like yeah, anything can take off. You never know. I would I don't know their business bottom line or anything, but I would bet that they made more money on that than they probably made on a lot of other things put together over the years. But it's still not in the mainstream. I don't know if that's gonna be a movie or anything. Hollywood is always descending on things and making them into movies and stuff, or adapting them. I guess we'll see. Um, but yeah, did you say you wanted to end this?
Yeah. I don't. We don't have to jump off the cliff, but
Okay.
yeah, I wanted to do. I'm just gathering a couple of things
Yeah.
I wanted to do shouts out for, but all of a sudden I can't find my
Well, ever
fucking
since the
post-its.
move, I put my. Oh, I think I reversed
Here
my.
it is.
Yeah. So let me see. Ever since the move, what I'm backed up on here. We have Call of the Totem. We did this already. This is stuff that we did already. This I haven't. This did somebody? I don't even know how I got. Oh, I don't even know how I got this. This we got at the con. This was like a giveaway at the IC3. Um, this. Oh yeah. So I have some new stuff to go through here. New stuff. Oh, and I wanted to do that Mothra for sure. Um, this is Ian Cinco. We're waiting for him to schedule with us.
Yeah,
Um,
he's got a bunch of shows he's working on, so we're going back and forth. But
this is a
he's got
bizarro piece. I don't know. It says adults only. I can't do that one. And I think I still have the heavy metal because I bought the heavy metal sketch cover. Kurt, I still have this on the back burner.
yeah. I don't have that copy. I have another copy, so we would do just basically a hot stuff back and
Yeah.
forth on two different copies of.
Right, right. So this
So
is what I've been waiting to do. This one right here. Um, and I'm just looking to see if I have the heavy metals here. Oh, and I also have the Phoebe Zeitgeist. So well, yeah, I'm backed up, man. I've been backed up for a while. Um, we got Vendetta here. We did the Vendetta. So yeah. And did we do Ghost Agents? We must have done Ghost Agents. I flipped this thing on.
no, we've mentioned it 100 times plus, but we should do. We might even want to try to do a 3 Men in a Comic because that would be one I know Dan would have. And speaking of Dan Snoke, if he's listening, how you doing, buddy? And I'm going to be going down 16th of September to see him and hang out at SPX. So anybody that's heading to SPX, give me and or Dan a shout, and we can meet. There's a couple people immediately on my list that I can't wait to see in the person there. But yeah, I'm going to be doing my haul. My comics that influence side is going to be the 5 comics that I purchased from Power Pulp Comics. But we also have 4 comics exchange interviews coming. This is Alfred Garcia. Garcia. I can't. Oh, got
I have
murdered
that.
that one. Sorry, Alfred. But he's going to be the 24th, which is next week. We have Scott Harris King, who's going to be the 31st. Then we have a Sunday off where we'll do a part 2 going live again with the comics that influence, because I have a whole second half of books that I bought for my birthday. And then Ian's stuff, still trying to hammer a date out, but he's on the books. And then last night I just got Jeff Lafferty signed up for the 14th of September. And this is so long overdue, this interview, that, my inner fanboy is going to be coming out. So you're going to have to control a lot of the interview for this one with Jeff. So. Love Jeff. Love Jeff for what he's accomplished as a creative person, as also for a YouTuber. And I'll get more deeper into that. But that's that's right there for us. So, but yeah, why don't we start getting ourselves motivated and set out? We'll let this one go. Why don't you give us the outro, and we'll say good morning to part 1 of our live, and then we'll be back probably about 20 minutes or so for another live stream, which will be our Comics That Influence episode.
Right on. Well, if you got this far, we appreciate you hanging out. Hopefully, you're doing something creative on your end. We have a couple other channels to check out. You got what we're talking about here, Comics That Influence. We're just about to tape, and we have the indie creator interviews, the indie comic exchange. So we're always on our YouTube channel every Sunday at 10 a.m. approximately. And you can see us live, or you can catch us on tape. I know that feeling when you're on YouTube and you're like, all right, I caught up with all my WNBA games and I've finished everything that's in my algorithm. What do I punch up next? Well, let me do some drawing, or I'll leaf through some comics and I'll listen to the guys, right? Like Kurt likes to call it hanging out at Jake's. So join us again next Sunday and check out our other channels. That has been our contribution for this week. We got exactly 3 panels deep into the lettering, and we'll see you guys next. I'm going to be continuing this while Kurt is doing his segment. So yeah, just jump on back here in about 15 minutes, and we're gonna go live again. But check out our Comics to Influence if you want to see. I'm going to be talking about the latest heavy metal magazine. So that's it. See you guys in the funny paper. Peace.
And I'll see you next Sunday, Jake.
All right.